Save on O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner. Get 2 cans of O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner for just $8. Valid in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it, Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Erik.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting.
Hi.
Dave, we're back.
We are.
We've got the popcorn popped. We've got our boxes of candy. We've got our soft drinks, and Joe is snuck in the candy. He's the one that snuck it in.
He wore a large coat, and they were originally not going to let him in. And then he was like, "I'm wearing pants. I just have candy." And then
cargo my candy pants.
And then they were like, "Oh, okay, whatever."
Cargo pants are back in style, man.
Jankos. I got my Jankos stuffed.
It's the perfect trend.
And they were like, "Whatever. We're happy you just bought a ticket and showed up." Like at this rate,
please go inside and get your candy pants away from us.
That's your new nickname, by the way.
Candy Pants. Joey Candy Pants.
Joey Candy Pants.
If you could do me a favor and stop staring at my Raisinets.
Are those nerds on a rope, or are you just happy to see me?
Why don't you find out?
I might have to change your contact photo to just pants now.
just a pair of pants.
Pair of candy pants.
We'll have to run that. We'll have to run the nickname past Justin over at Bondi, because he's the one that comes up with the nicknames. So
that's true. I think he'll enjoy Candy Pants, though.
Yeah, Joey Candy Pants. It works.
Joey Candy Pants.
In case it hasn't become blatantly obvious, we are joined once again by the person that you hear and you
and
hear
are dead sober, by the way.
Yeah. The person you hear every week, but don't often get to hear him live on the show. Joe, welcome back. Welcome back to the show as a counterpart rather than a voice effect.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. And, not to bury the lead, but we have Ryan Reynolds now.
Remember, you're on video, so your vocal impersonations are going to, as amazing as they are, people are going to see that it's not Ryan Reynolds. Close your eyes.
But, they'll also see, how you do the voice.
Yeah.
So,
now I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be very deadpan, and people can't know those
facial
secrets.
Permutations.
Do you have a Ryan Reynolds?
Actually, no.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
yeah, I completely clear. No, I've never actually tried to do a Ryan Reynolds.
Okay. Well, maybe
I've heard some really good ones out there, but I've not tried to do one of my own.
There are some really good ones. I saw some really good ones on the TikTok.
Yes, it usually does come from the TikTok.
The TikTok. So we are back with another episode of Toys on Film. So we've done a couple of these within the past year or so, where we take a look at a significant film that has some sort of toy or action figure or collectible implication to it. And there was this little film that came out 2 weeks ago. Actually, at the time you're hearing this, it's going to be 3 weeks ago. Little film. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but Deadpool and Wolverine. Of course, it's the movie that has made it is now the highest grossing rated R film of all time.
Yes, it is.
Breaking all kinds of records. I saw an amazing stat that there are exactly 119 F-bombs in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One is in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and the other 118 are in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Couldn't have it any other way.
So, it is... I would go as far as to say it's a hard R. This movie's a hard R. Between
I loved when people brought their kids into the showing that I went to go see.
So, it's not for kids.
No.
Both.
I mean, if you thought any of them have been.
I mean, you could make the case that Once Upon a Deadpool, they did a very good job with that PG-13 edit for the.
Yeah, I feel like
Deadpool
they
2.
did the kidified that one on purpose almost.
Yeah, that worked out really, really well. Which is great because it gave something for my daughter to enjoy. But now it's also like she's like, I want to see more. I'm like, well,
you've seen enough.
You're gonna have to wait.
What are you doing in 10 years?
But it was a I think we all kind of unanimously agree it was a fantastic movie. I think it absolutely annihilated expectations. It shot for the stars, and it was a bullseye. So,
my expectations were this is going to be awesome, and it was.
And it was awesome.
I think it's been the best, one of the best Marvel movies that's come out in the last,
since Guardians 3.
Like since Guardians 3. I mean, look, I'm probably one of the biggest Marvel apologists, and to one of my core group of friends, they're like, it really hasn't been that good, and I'll usually fight tooth and nail for like the Marvels and for I don't usually fight very hard for Dark World or Eternals, but I will still sit down and watch them.
Yeah, Dark World is still the bottom of my list.
Yeah, oh yeah, mine too.
Eternals was fine. Like,
yeah, I thought it was all right.
I enjoyed it. There isn't one that I haven't enjoyed.
You enjoy the Dark World? Like, you would actually be like, yeah, I'll watch that.
I've voluntarily put it on.
Interesting. That's a choice.
I have too, even though it is my bottom. But if I do chronological order, it does.
I was going to say it's usually because I'm going to watch other movies.
That's fair. That's fair. It's become part of like a ritual watching, not like a, you know what I'm in the mood for today.
It's like watching Back to the Future 2. You got to go right into 3. You can't not afterwards.
It's true. It's very, very true. So just to kind of
no, because I'll watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 2 after. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god. Love that show.
Yeah, me too. But like,
show is very good.
I remember when it was like, you have to watch Thor first. I'm like, oh, this is why?
Yeah. It was, they played into that really. ABC, great. They did a great job with those commercials. Mm-hmm. Find out what happens.
It's all connected.
Watch the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. clean up rubble in London.
And make a monster disappear.
Yeah. Oh my god. All right. So to set the stage here. So we'll go. We'll a lot happens in this movie. So we're not going to sit here and spoil every single aspect of it, but we'll talk about the things that we really enjoyed from the movie. And then of course we'll get into the toys.
And honestly, when a movie is made hundreds of millions of dollars and has been out for 3 weeks, and one of the driving forces behind the movie has already told you everything that happened a week ago, we're not really heading into uncharted territory here.
It's true. But I think it's fair. General warning, spoilers abound. We're going to talk about whatever we're going to talk about, and it's going to be stuff that's not in any of the trailers. It's going to be stuff from the movie. So if you have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine and you have managed to stay...
If you don't follow Ryan Reynolds on Instagram, then...
Or the director of the film, Sean Levy, don't follow him, if you don't follow Hugh Jackman, if you've found a very comfortable place under a rock on the internet, congratulations. There will be spoilers, so we'll just put that out there.
I would say I'm jealous of you at that point because
Yeah.
I had something majorly spoiled for me before the movie even came out.
Ooh, what was it? That's a good place to start.
X-23. X-23 was actually spoiled for me.
But in
a
fairness,
video auto played. I was so mad.
But in fairness, they did that.
Yeah.
Like, in
They
order
put her in the trailer.
They put her in the trailer on purpose, so that way she could go to the premiere.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I purposely avoided any spoilers, but I was on YouTube, and then YouTube decided to autoplay something, and all of a sudden, boom! And I'm like, you motherfucker.
See, I was gonna say the thing that got spoiled for me on X was somebody had like aerial drone footage or like long distance telephoto lens or whatever when they were filming the fight against Sabretooth, and I literally saw a picture of Deadpool holding Sabretooth's severed head, like from like a drone, and I was like, oh well, that blows.
I don't think I had much spoiled, but that's also because like I'm very like sheltered on Instagram. Instagram's all I have, full disclosure, and I don't like. I follow Ryan Reynolds because of soccer more than anything, and yeah,
I mean, he didn't spoil anything until
he didn't spoil anything, but like
he waited for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but also like usually that'll lead to the algorithm feeding you things. And for whatever reason, I didn't get fed anything.
Yeah. I mean, I have our AIC account is very, very, what's the word? Curated. So that way it does filter out a lot of that stuff. Like I've made sure that like I've either blocked accounts that are just like known for leaking or
full disclosure, I also didn't go on it like the week before the movie.
It's a little one of us has to put ourselves out there. keep the account going.
No, when big movies come out, just stop posting.
It's like
that's it.
Sorry, no toy news until I go see the man in the red spandex. Okay, so Deadpool and Wolverine, it's been a while, right? 2018 was the last Deadpool movie, right?
That sounds about right. That
does
sound about right. Wow.
Yeah.
2018, jeez.
So
in fairness, a few things happened.
Yep. Nice big gap there though. But in that time period, right, like Disney acquired Fox, and that's one of the things I will say, I will comment, not negatively, but I think a critique of this movie. I went to go see it with Jess. I went to go see it with my wife. And she watches all the Marvel movies, she watches all the TV shows, but she doesn't consume like the pop culture news part of things. So there were a couple things in this movie that were so meta to like a casual viewer. Like even like somebody who's again comfortable with the entire MCU, there were a couple things that were like, like kind of like I could tell were like lost on her, especially like all of like the Fox humor and like, if you're not paying attention to like the mergers and acquisitions in the pop culture world, or like the fact that Channing Tatum was cast to be Gambit and then never got to be Gambit, like that movie never happened, right? Like
if you're not
in that minutia, you kind of miss some of that stuff.
I was talking to Christina, my fiance, and like we pretty much settled on like the one that was like the deep cut was Channing Tatum.
Yeah, that's
like you had to like kind of be in on basically Comic-Con announcements in order to know that he was supposed to be Gambit. I mean, the rest of them are surprising because just the Disney buying everything was just big news.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not the 2 and 2 of like, oh, I forgot the X-Men or Fox or like.
That's the thing. That's more the thing. Like that kind of like bifurcation of like the Marvel properties in the 90s. It was, when they sold everything off. I think a lot of people, like present company excluded, right? I think there are a lot of people were not so kind of embedded in that. I should say a lot of people that have been sucked into the fandom of the MCU through these movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of those people have not been along for the ride that long, right? Like you still have people that are kind of relatively new because what the MCU technically you want to say what kicked off in with the Avengers, right? Like I mean,
Well, I mean,
No, with
Iron
Iron
Man
Man.
2008, but the MCU wasn't even like an announced concept at that point. Like we really didn't start to see it coming together until
So if you want to give it fairness, the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk,
end credits of the Hulk. So what was it
not
2000,
even. He's not
2010?
even in the end credits. He's in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Oh, I thought Tony Stark was the stinger on that one
No,
in the bar
he's
with
just in the movie.
Got it.
oh, yeah, man, my brain is going your way, Eric. That it was after the credits, but
I
yeah.
thought that was a stinger. Yeah, you're right. Him coming in his baggy pantsuit. Um, but yeah, like you have a lot of people that have kind of hopped in, along the way, and yeah, to that point, Channing Tatum. I think that was a huge deep cut, and I mean, to use a wrestling term that we love to use, I popped huge for that. Like when
Oh,
he
God,
walked
yeah.
out, I was like,
Yeah, that was cool.
and it wasn't what I was expecting either, right? Because like in that scene, so in the film, one thing that I will say, if you haven't seen it yet and you're kind of on the fence and you're starting to listen to reviews and things like that, prerequisite watching, other than the first two Deadpool films, Loki. You've got to watch season 1 and
God,
2
yes.
of Loki. Very, very necessary watching. The TVA plays a massive part in this movie, as does kind of the Void. A lot of it happens in the Void from the place at the end of time from that TV show from the Disney Plus show. Sorry. But
I
when
will
they're
say they did a good job. Kind of, I know. Yes, watching Loki is 100%. You should do it. It will help you. But I think they did a very.
I don't
good
think
job.
you have to though.
Yeah.
I think it's. I would put it in if you wanted to prepare for this movie. I think at least watching season 1 of Loki,
as well as Daredevil with Ben Affleck.
Yeah,
I mean, and Logan, and and whatever other movies at that point.
Well, they do enough. I think they do enough of setting up. I mean, they show you the parts of Logan that you really kind of like need to see in that.
But also though, like
there's a lot. But in that Void sequence, right, when we're introduced,
they explain a fair amount though. They explain enough where you're not going to be lost.
Yeah, what's the term? In media res. They do a decent job of dealing with in media res, just dropping you in the middle of kind of things. So, but in that Void sequence, right, we're introduced to a bunch of the cameos, and we see for the first time in a very long time, we see Wesley Snipes as Blade. We've got Jennifer Garner as Elektra. We've got Chris Evans as Johnny.
Well,
Storm.
they're later though.
Well, I mean, it just in that since we've been talking so much about Channing Tatum, but like you have those characters kind of thrown at you for the first time in a very long, and of course
Long
it's 23.
Wesley
like,
was my biggest pop.
Yeah, that unbelievable.
Wesley Snipes' first. I mean, I'm not going to say it on here. Obviously, his first words in the MCU, big old R word, right out of his mouth. My wife's a teacher; she doesn't like that word. So
it's fair. That's fair.
The first word out of his mouth for the MCU.
Yeah, and
it's something that'll get him canceled.
And it also cements him now as technically the longest tenured member of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
This is very true.
So he now beats out Robert Downey Jr. as having been doing this the longest. So and he looked great. Like he looked fantastic.
Give me that toy. I know we'll get there.
Yeah, but like I've been taking to calling those cameos, those characters, the Void Avengers.
They're the Anarchy Avengers. That's the official.
Oh, is it
cool.
The Anarchy Avengers? Okay,
because that's the shirt that they have. Like that you can buy the shirt with the A, but it's drawn over it as the Anarchy A.
Got it.
Like Deadpool drew over it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was just all
Because he wanted,
so clever. Just so clever.
like that was, if you've seen Ryan Reynolds doing press in the Avengers hat with the Anarchy A over it, that's
awesome.
Got it. Yeah, I need that in my life. I have my Pym Tech hat on currently, but I need that. I need that in my life.
I mean, just to start off with, like, one of the very first cameos, though, like Chris Evans coming back, and you're like, I started to well up. I'm like, oh.
Nope. Part of me knew right away.
Same.
Exactly what it was going to be.
Because the thing is, right, it's like, okay, my brain went, it was one of those things where, like, thankfully the movie kind of, like, had a little bit of a pause as, like, you're just kind of taking in that atmosphere that they're in. Thankfully, there wasn't a whole lot going on because my brain was going like a million miles an hour. Like, okay, is it a different version of Captain America that, like, they needed to send to the void for some reason? Like,
Well,
is it like, are we getting like Hail Hydra Cap, or like, is there? And then I was like, oh wait, no, duh, this is definitely Johnny Storm.
But
the accent he was thrown on was very weird, though, because that was not from that movie.
That's his real voice.
That's just the way he speaks.
Yeah, because in that movie, though, he didn't even do that. Like, he was.
No, he's got that, like, Massachusetts accent. That's his real voice.
Okay, so he's just being himself.
Yep. And just hearing so, like, the hearing Deadpool and Wolverine curse the entire movie. First of all, before we go back to Chris Evans, talking about the cursing, this was like the closest to what I close my eyes and think of when I think of Wolverine that, like, we've ever gotten on film. Just like the complete rough around the edges, like, this was Wolverine. It was perfect, and him just being able to kind of, like, rip those lines, like that monologue that he has in the minivan where he says,
that was
the quote that I keep revisiting. Like, I'm for those listening, I'm like tapping my chest, but, like, I got choked up. I mean, you could hear a pin drop in the theater, and we were in a packed theater. You could hear a pin drop when he said, one of God's cruelest jokes is that you can't die, except the joke is on us. And he starts punching the top of the car, and he's just completely shredding Deadpool as a character. That line is just, it's so brutal.
I mean, he just says, you couldn't even be an X-Man, and they'll fucking take anybody.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. No wonder the Avengers wouldn't take you. Oh, it's just like,
there were reviews going in that said, like, I read kind of like, hey, this is great. Like, people that were like, oh, it's a one-note thing, and they're wrong. But
completely wrong.
The people that were, like, saying that this is almost better, this is almost a better performance than in Logan, were pretty spot on.
Pretty spot on with it.
Yeah. I would actually say that the performance he gives in Logan, as great as it is, and, like, don't get me wrong, that especially the last, like, 25 minutes of that film.
Yeah, the third act is,
but it's a very one-dimensional performance when you really think about it, right? Like, his character arc is, you're seeing him at the very tail end of his character arc. So, like, you know, I think in terms of
his character arc in that movie is you had to do homework.
Yeah. Whereas in this, like, you get to see that full, like, he messed up. You know, he literally cost all of the X-Men in his universe their lives. Like, he turned people against the X-Men, and is just kind of
to the point where they're ripping him in the bar in the beginning.
Yeah. And just the whole thing with, like, and like, him wearing the suit constantly, like, under his clothes, just it's just so, it's honestly, it's heartbreaking, and that's the thing that always makes Wolverine an interesting character, when, whether you're reading the comics, whether games, movies, whatever, when they lean into the fact that he's, like, inside, he's just this man that can't, feasibly can't die. His bones are slowly poisoning him to death, but it's going to take forever for him to actually die because of his healing, his healing capabilities. and he's sad, he's lonely, and like he doesn't want to be a hero, and he keeps being pushed into the situation where he has to be. And like it always goes back to that thing where like when he explains, like, every time I stick out my claws, it hurts. Like,
Mhm.
like it's just he's such a
Yeah, it was like,
dynamic.
does it hurt every time?
Yeah, he's such a he can be such a dynamic character, and he's so well cast with Hugh Jackman that like this movie, I think really he shined better than he ever has, because he got to do kind of the whole thing, like
Well,
all the
back
way to the
to
end, like put the
Mhm.
towel on, like
oh,
oh god,
back to heavy spoiler land. Just that whole montage of
The Wolverine
the
montage, yeah, that was
Wolverine
oh
fantastic.
my
montage.
god,
I mean, everyone that came out like
comic accurate short Wolverine.
I love that Wolverine. My wife's not a big comic book person, so but like as this was happening, I was like, like
Yeah.
my face just kept going. The
Old Man Logan was one of my.
Apocalypse,
Yeah,
Hulk versus Wolverine.
that was the one that got me. The Krakoan, yellow and
Oh,
tan
The brown and yellow.
brown
yeah.
and yellow. Like,
And then
oh,
you see the reflection of Hulk in his
his
claws, like the
claws.
comic
Oh,
book cover. Holy, oh my god! Just
him with the one hand.
Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse. The Nightmare when he's on a friggin' cross
Yep,
with a
with all
bunch
the
of skulls.
skulls. Yeah,
I'm like, what? They went everywhere, and then Cavalrine.
Cavalrine. And I like, there were a couple of, one of the things that makes Deadpool so interesting, regardless of what media you're consuming
Well,
him in,
and
is his
remember the
ability to
rumor
break
was
that
like,
fourth
oh,
wall.
Patch is going to be a different person, and it was
Yeah,
like they kind of teased you, and nope, it was
Yeah.
still, that wasn't the one.
They
I was
swerved
waiting
you.
for Daniel Radcliffe.
Well, that was the big rumor
Yeah.
that Daniel Radcliffe was going
He
to
could
be
have been
Patch.
comic accurate.
Could have been. He's a little guy. He's a little guy. But yeah, like I loved all of the fourth wall breaking stuff too, especially with like Cavalrine when he was like, "We'll treat you better than than that other company." And then I don't know if you saw, but Henry Cavill eventually, after that kind of 2 week mark, he posted a picture of himself as the Wolverine, and he said, "I shaved the mustache this time, but just the mustache."
So perfect.
So it's just, they really they shot for the moon, and they
They
had a
blew a hole
perfect
through it.
yeah, perfect landing. I mean, like I saw some of the reviews coming into it, and I try not to read reviews really anymore, but um one of the reviews unfairly used the word fan service.
Mhm.
Like, what and I don't want to say comic book movie. I was corrected earlier. There are a lot of movies that are superhero movies that are, or comic book movies that are not superhero movies. So like superhero movies, right? What superhero movie? I challenge either of you to name one. What superhero movie has zero fan service in it? Like zero. Even something as like dark and gritty as like The Batman has fan service in it, regardless
Mhm.
of how you feel about that movie. But like
Does
that,
the original Blade have fan service?
I mean, he it's
The
Blade.
fact that it
Like,
exists is
That
fan
it's just
service.
Blade. Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like, he's when he the first time he hits a superhero landing and pulls out swords. I mean, that's fan
Mhm.
service.
This is true.
I hate when people use that term when they're talking about superhero movies, because it's a superhero movie.
Oh, you know what I wish they would have done? Now that I think about it, why wasn't he also Hannibal King?
Oh man, yeah,
They could have done that.
they could have done
Like
that.
Wesley could have been like, "You look familiar."
It's true. It's true.
Especially like seeing handsome Deadpool, handsome.
Yeah,
Or he could have said, "You sound
nice
familiar."
Nice
Yeah.
pool. That's what it was. It wasn't handsome.
Because
Pool.
I don't think he. I mean, if he did see, Nice Pool, we didn't
Oh,
get
then-
that interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But by
But
hearing
that's-
his voice, he could have been like, "You sound familiar."
Mhm.
That would have
That's a
worked.
very good point.
Yeah.
That would totally would have worked.
But the story behind the Wesley Snipes thing is hilarious. Like now that all the movie's out and everyone's starting to kind of tell the story about how they put this stuff together. Ryan Reynolds reached out to him and was like, "Hey, would you do it again?" And Wesley Snipes' reaction was apparently, "They're not going to let you do that." Like they just cast Mahershala Ali as Blade. Like and he was like, "No, but if I can, would you do it?" And he was like, "Fuck yeah." Like, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets
it's like one of his favorite roles he's ever been.
Yeah.
And then he said he got the call back and he was like, "Suit up." And he was like, "Oh man, now I got to actually do it."
There's only going to be one Blade.
But yeah, it was great. That was so good. But like it's just so cool. I know a lot of money was exchanged here. These actors were paid a lot of money. They padded the lope for them. But
did they get trailer compounds?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, we should probably talk about that a little bit. As that news kind of came on the heels of this movie, but we'll get to that. But yeah, apparently, Dave, you were saying they tried to make Nicolas Cage work too.
It was one of those things where that was an idea. If I remember reading correctly, that's an idea they had, but they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, though, and I mean the last thing I heard, the most recent thing I heard was that Ryan Reynolds was literally like a day or two out from meeting with Kevin Feige or him and Sean Levy were like a day or two out meeting with Kevin Feige, and they were basically going to punt again and be like, give us another 2 years, like let's figure out like a story and everything. When he got a phone call from Hugh Jackman, that Hugh Jackman was like, I want to do Wolverine again. Is there anything we can do? And Ryan Reynolds was like, well, I'm meeting with Kevin Feige in 2 days to talk about the next Deadpool movie. And he was like, I don't know, make it happen. So they apparently went to like Sean Levy like that day, and he was like, Hugh's willing to come back. And they literally put together a concept for that meeting, and was the kind of impetus for the movie that we got. So, it's very clear, and it has been since day one, that Ryan Reynolds like really gives a shit about this character, and like it's just as a comic book fan and as a fan of this kind of big world that they've built, you want those types of passionate people involved, right? Like, because you're not going to get phoned in stuff. Like you want that. So the fact that we now have him and Hugh Jackman for the foreseeable future, in this whatever leg of the MCU, which I guess is a perfect segue.
Till you're 90.
Yeah.
Till you're 90.
Till you're 90.
Disney's going to make him do this till he's 90.
Well, so, I mean, there's a rumor floating about of a Wolverine Hulk movie.
God. Nothing would...
flying around there. But I know, like, Jackman, he's even said, he's like, it's your bones start to hurt as you get older. Like, he would do it as, like, a cameo style thing in future movies, but doing all the action sequences.
But did you see his abs? Those were his abs.
I know. It's insane. I have no excuse.
I mean, I went to the gym today, and all I kept thinking was Hugh Jackman's abs. Hugh Jackman's abs.
He said 6,000 calories a day. It was all tilapia and beans, he said.
So, good to know. You don't have a Ryan Reynolds, but you have a pretty good Hugh Jackman.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom-and-pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at their brand new home at 101 Newark Pompton Turnpike, Suite 1 in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's CHUBZYWUBZZY.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
Save on O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner. Get 2 cans of O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner for just $8. Valid in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
And now back to the show.
Yeah, but so implications into the larger Marvel universe, right? So we've pulled two concepts were kind of introduced in this movie.
One is that Happy takes interviews for if you want to be an
I
Avenger.
love that.
It's so funny.
All those little bits and bobs in the office.
The original Shield.
So shout out to Ryan Airy, Screen Crush. He called out an Easter egg in his most recent video in the movie that I missed that I thought was absolutely hilarious. So I guess, at least according to him, sources, whatever, they only have an X amount of movies like per contract that Tom Holland can be actually physically featured in. So, and that includes like if there is a picture of Tom Holland on a shelf, that counts. So like, ding, you lose an entire movie by just having him in a picture. So the picture of him and Tony Stark was on the desk. Like they showed like a desk behind them, like a sideboard behind them that had that picture that Tony Stark ends up like holding up in the Avengers. But you can only see Tony Stark in the picture. The helmet, the toy Iron Man helmet that the little kid is wearing in Iron Man 2 at the Stark Expo, which they confirmed that is a young Peter Parker in that scene. The helmet is actually blocking the picture, the half of the picture that has Tom Holland in it. So like they were able to call out that like, yep, you're in that universe, that you remember that picture. You saw enough of it to know that that's the one that Tony Stark picks up, and it makes him think like, oh, I should flip the thing upside down, and that's what helps him invent time travel, right? That picture was there, but it was blocked by the helmet. I just thought that was such a nice little touch. But the biggest, kind of feature, I guess you could say, of this movie is the concept of an anchor being, right? That's the first time we've heard this in the MCU, which was a really cool concept.
Yeah,
yes, but no.
Well, we've had similar things. So we now have an anchor being. We now have a Nexus event, and we have a what was the third one? I'm blanking. Anchor being, Nexus event. Nexus events are events that cannot be changed. We learned that in What If, that there are certain events that no matter what you do, they happen. And it's the one from the Spider-Verse that they talk about. You save too many captains and you destroy the universe.
Oh my God, I forgot what the name of it is.
I can't think of what it is, but anyway, this concept of an anchor being that if a certain person in your universe dies, that leg of the universe, that branch, will eventually die. Like it'll eventually, go back to the root and fall apart. And we learned that in Deadpool's universe, Logan was that anchor being. So now, of course, everyone's trying to figure out, with all of the different universes that we've seen, and the main Marvel universe being 616,
which was the Fox universe.
Deadpool's universe is the Fox universe. Yeah,
that's 10,000 or like what was it?
1005. I think they said it was. So we know that the anchor being in that was Logan. He fixed the situation by stealing somebody else's Logan.
Thus screwing that universe.
Well, he might not be the
anchor being.
Yeah, because remember he found the worst Wolverine.
Yeah.
So now everyone is speculating like, oh, who's the anchor being in 616? Is it
definitely not Tony? So definitely not Tony. He's gone already.
I hear a lot
was saying
Spider-Man is the rumor that I keep hearing, that it's Tom Holland.
Somebody was saying what is the girl's name that Wong hangs out with in She-Hulk?
Madison.
Madison is the anchor being of 616.
Two D's, a Y, S, two N's. Yeah, she's great. That'd be amazing. Protect Madison at all costs. But yeah, so that concept is definitely going to have a ripple effect through whatever they end up doing in the MCU going forward. And we do have kind of a heading, right? So Deadpool came out Comic-Con week, and on Saturday at San Diego Comic-Con, they revealed two things: the Russo brothers are back,
Insane.
and they will be doing the next two Avengers films.
Was it Doomsday
and
Secret
Wars, following the Fantastic Four and or Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four and
First Steps.
Yeah, and Captain America.
So hyped on Fantastic Four. I saw the somebody had like a cam footage trailer from, and I watched it like 4 times.
It's so good, and it takes place in that kind of like Jetsons-y retro future 60s. It looks fantastic. Galactus at the end not being a giant cloud. It's great. It's great. But the big announcement is that Robert Downey Jr. is back as Victor Von Doom. So
I was not thrilled at first, but I've come around just doing a little bit more research on comics that I've missed, and reading some like Elseworld Doctor Doom stories and
Infamous is the big one.
And
yep.
So it's like
that people are thinking could have something to do with it.
Infamous is the other way around. So Infamous is when Doctor Doom becomes Iron Man. Yeah.
But I mean,
I think it's Superior.
No, that's Superior. Or Superior is Doc Ock and Spider-Man. So when Doc Ock puts his mind in Peter Parker's body, he becomes Superior Spider-Man.
Of which, by the way, people who are like mad that how can Robert Downey Jr. be two people? We have precedent of two people being different characters.
Yeah, throughout the MCU.
Even in the MCU.
Yeah, we've got 3 Spider-Men.
Mahershala Ali has now been two people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Cottonmouth and Blade eventually. We've got 2 different Electras. We've got 2 different Daredevils established now. We've got technically two different Sabretooths.
2 different Mr. Fantastics.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that's a great call. Yeah. So with the concept of the multiverse, it does. Eventually, it's going to become
variants now.
It's a little bit Deus Ex multiverse. It becomes a little bit of like a tool that can probably be abused. But if there are 2 people I'm not going to question with MCU stuff, it's the Russo brothers. They have been.
Well, the other thing too is like, and maybe it's me talking myself into it, whatever. But he's been the ultimate good in Iron Man, and now he's like the ultimate bad. Like,
yeah. I mean, it
could have a similar arc in the opposite direction.
Sure, and maybe it does lead to Infamous Iron Man. Maybe
what I absolutely love though, like them getting somebody completely different to play like actual Victor Von Doom. Like, I would love that. And my top pick has always been Mads Mikkelsen. I know he was in Doctor Strange as I forgot what his name is now, but my top pick has always been him. Yes, has always been him for Doctor Doom.
I'm on the Cillian Murphy train for Doctor Doom.
Oppenheimer 2.0.
Yes, Doomenheimer.
Doomenheimer.
I have to think about it. I never really have like kind of. I've never like kind of like who do you think should be this person? Because I've just never gotten around to it. But it's also that rumor of Robert Downey was like out before Comic-Con.
Yeah. Yep.
And at which point I'm like, that's a great idea. Like, I'm sorry. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I
don't dislike it at all.
My only thing is
cash grab, whatever it is, like, Hail Mary, whatever you want to call it. Like, I think it's a cool idea.
clearly they have something planned. Like they have some sort of big idea planned. They would not be wasting.
They wouldn't do it seat of their pants.
Yes.
I mean, the heartbreak that Spider-Man is going to experience alone is going to be like on the levels of Mr. Stark.
And
I don't feel too good.
Yeah, and Pepper.
When anyone first sees him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about all the Happy.
And I think that's like, yeah, sure, Chris Evans was just Johnny Storm again, or like whatever. But that's where it's like the ultimate good is now the ultimate bad, and like they've got to deal with that.
Yep.
If they could just back the truck of money up to Chris Evans' house to make him Captain America to face off against Downey Doom, then
I mean, I would say never with this, right? Because again, like, I was just saying it before, but like the Russo brothers have such a like stone cold track record with the work.
There
that
are
they've
also
done for the
so many characters out there that like, you're now bringing X-Men and Fantastic Four into this world. Like, you don't need Captain America back, or you don't need Steve Rogers back.
Yeah, and I think everyone who has any doubts, first of all, like full disclosure, when I think of Captain America, sure, I think of Steve Rogers. Like that's in my head when I close my eyes.
You have Sam now, so like
that being said, like even as biased as I am,
and he's fantastic. By the way,
I
loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And like
eventually, when ostensibly
it was
one
outstanding.
Of the best shows on
outstanding
out of all the shows, it's been one of the best.
And he's the main reason for that. I mean, he's so good as Sam Wilson, and I'm like, I can't wait. You guys know I'm a big Hulk guy, so I can't wait for Brave New World. Like,
oh, that movie's going to be amazing. I think that movie's going to be fantastic.
Everything that I've seen from it so far, like all of the trailers and stuff that look fantastic, and Harrison Ford's going to be turning into Red Hulk, and my poor little heart and brain is not going to be able to like process it. Like, I'm just so excited. But like, again, like Sam Wilson, you have a really strong Captain America character. You're starting to establish like either the New Avengers or the West Coast Avengers, whichever team you want to go with next. Because like
Young Avengers, whatever you want to do. Like,
you still have Vision floating around out there. So, we have
even though they've said Wanda is dead. No, she's not.
There's no shot.
You barely saw it. You saw something poof, with the mountain, but you barely saw her die. So no.
And they also clearly cleaned up that something with that timeline, because the big Wanda shaped thing was in Deadpool.
Yeah.
It was in their like their little Anarchy Avengers room. So they're not gonna. I can't imagine. And again, like, talk about like Elizabeth Olsen is just so good. Like, she's
and also it's
so
comic
good.
Books. Nothing ever really dies.
Nope.
Correct.
And I mean,
except for maybe Johnny Storm. I think he's dead.
I think he's dead.
No, he's coming back.
Well, that Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
That Johnny Storm. He did.
Yeah, there's a new one.
Yeah. But I think there's.
That was a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Just skinned him. And she was great too. Cassandra Nova.
Fantastic.
What a great villain. What an absolutely
they did a great job.
But obviously that effect was so like off-putting and disturbing, like the fingers coming out the nose and like the
and that was their idea to try to like look like McAvoy too.
Yeah. I mean, she looked like she definitely could have been his twin.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
I'm trying to help you with the pronouns.
And I'm sorry, did I mispronoun the actress that plays the actor that plays Cassandra Nova? I apologize. They did a fantastic job. Thank you for calling that out, Dave. I missed that.
You're welcome.
But
You can edit around that, whatever you want to do.
no, I'm going to leave it in because sometimes we're human. We make mistakes and we correct things. So I did not realize that that the actor was used they as their pronoun. So
I didn't know that either.
So thank you, thank you for educating me today.
Happy to help out.
But so technically in the MCU, this is now our second X-Men look at the X-Men.
Emma Corrin.
Emma Corrin.
Awesome. Like,
fantastic.
Unfortunate that we're a one and done there.
Yeah.
Fantastic villain.
So now I'm curious, right? Because we've now seen two different universes where the X-Men exist. So we've seen what we have in Deadpool and Wolverine, and then what we had at the end of the Marvels, right? Because we had Hank as the Beast. We had Kelsey Grammer back as Beast.
It all started with Kamala in Miss Marvel. That's where they entered the world of mutants.
Yep. So I think with
spoilers for the end of Miss Marvel.
I think with Secret Wars on the horizon, right? There's a lot to
because they had to bypass it with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and then because they couldn't, but now they can come back.
Yep.
Yeah, even what is it? Even Doctor Strange. You bring in Professor Xavier. Like you keep bringing in all these pieces.
Yep. Everything's starting to kind of line up, and I think we have some anchors there. Pun intended. But let's talk about the toys, guys. So out the gate, of course, everyone wants collectors, right? Everyone wants toys from this movie. We've got a bunch that have been announced, all for just Deadpool and Wolverine specifically, like those two characters. So we've got 3 Marvel Legends figures from this movie specifically, along with a new Deadpool legacy figure of Colossus,
which could be.
Yeah, he counts. He's in it. But we have Wolverine in the blue and yellow. We do not have battle damaged Wolverine yet, so he's got the full sleeves, and he has the option for the cowl up or down. We've got Deadpool minus the golden guns because he doesn't get them until the end. Rest in peace, nice pool. And then my favorite. What do you mean heal? That was, oh my god, that was so good. So good. And then my favorite of those 3 releases. So those 2 are obviously the 2 coolest ones, but my favorite, what they did with the other Wolverine figure, is it's actually Headpool is how the box art is actually designed. So it's Headpool.
It's a Headpool figure with a Wolverine
accessory.
That's
so
fantastic.
It comes with Wolverine in his
It comes with
the clothes that he's wearing in the bar. But what's interesting is seeing the figure kind of standing up, you can see that he's got the costume under his suit, and you can see the in his suit pocket, he has the gloves, the blue gloves are hanging out of his suit pocket, tucked in. So
that's cool.
Really nice little touch. So those 3 figures, they're available. They're sold out most places, with the exception of that street clothes Wolverine. The other 2 are pretty much sold out everywhere. SH Figure Arts also has their Deadpool and Wolverine. They look fantastic. They were on display for the first time at San Diego Comic-Con. Anyone that was there got to see them. And then Hot Toys doing their thing. So they've got Wolverine, they've got Deadpool in both a deluxe and standard version. I think the Deadpool comes with the deluxe one comes with Headpool and comes with Baby Pool. Might even come with Dog Pool. Don't quote me on that one. I'm not I don't stay super on top of the Hot Toys stuff. But then Hot Toys also has a deluxe Wolverine that's shirtless. So he's
TVA jacket.
Yeah, he's got the abs and stuff, which is hilarious.
What's funny was when I first saw the figures, I'm like, his beard looks strange. And then I saw the movie, I'm like, oh my god, it looks exactly like how it does on the figures.
Yeah, it's crazy. The likeness on the Wolverine figures that Hasbro did with the Marvel Legends. It's just it's insane. One of the best Logan likenesses, Hugh Jackman likenesses that they've done. And then the other thing I wanted to call out, somebody brought it to my attention today. I'm familiar with the company because they've done a series of amazing Iron Man figures. So a company out of Taiwan or Thailand, it's either Thailand or Taiwan, but they don't sell in the U.S. So you have to either get them through the import market. So they sell on like AliExpress and websites like that. But this company ZD Toys, they are officially licensed Marvel products. They have a Deadpool and Wolverine as well. So I did grab their Deadpool and Wolverine just because I've not had a whole lot of hands-on experience with those figures, but they looked really good. Pictures look great. So curious to see what those look like. But lots of Deadpool, lots of Wolverine, so many other characters. So let's do a quick round robin here.
You could do a wave of just like ancillary characters.
Good.
Toad, Sabretooth.
So
Punisher Russian villain
X-23
showed up.
That's right. The dude that Kevin Nash played in the one movie, he was in that void. Unfortunately, it wasn't Kevin Nash.
Juggernaut, which
Juggernaut
wasn't
was
Vinnie
there.
Jones.
I mean, I think the ones that everybody would want, right? Like at the gate, like if you had to prioritize, Cassandra Nova.
Well, let's say like main story, right?
Yeah. So main story, Cassandra Nova, X-23. She's never had a figure. Gambit, Blade, Elektra, Johnny Storm. And then, if you're gonna do a full wave, right, you need one more for your seventh. Pyro. Yeah, would be a great one.
Or Richard McFadden. Is it Richard? Yeah.
The
TVA guy?
Yeah, the main
Paradox.
Paradox.
Yeah. Paradox would be great. Any of the Deadpool core. So Blake Lively as Lady Deadpool.
Nice pool.
Shout
out to Welsh Pool.
Welsh Pool.
Welsh Pool. The entire Reynolds family was in the movie. The baby did their baby did like mocap for for Baby Pool, and Kid Pool was his daughter. So his daughter was in the suit for that. But the baby, I think, either reference photo or mocap of some kind, but he said that the baby was his.
I would imagine somebody's gonna get a dog pool to hold.
Well, that's the thing. If you do nice pool, you get the golden guns that you can give to Deadpool, and you get Mary Poppins.
I love that dog.
So funny. And people were saying that if they could have one playset from this entire movie, they'd want the van. They'd want just a Honda Odyssey, which is perfect.
A Honda Odyssey with blood all over it.
Never gonna happen, but perfect. Yeah, I would say obviously there are like, it's not like Star Wars, right? Where like once you're in Star Wars, your likeness rights belong to Lucasfilm and they can make toys of you. Like the MCU does not have that deal, clearly, which is why there are some pretty key characters throughout the MCU that have not had figures. Some of which we've mentioned on this episode, Caecilius and characters like Whiplash and so on and so forth, right? Like we have not had figures of them. So hopefully, fingers very firmly crossed, that if they haven't got likeness rights for some of these actors, they can go back and say like, hey, because
hey buddy.
And if they could, then maybe I wonder if they could do like a legacy as well, since they
you do a legacy line. And because I mean we still don't even have an unmasked Ryan Reynolds. Like they haven't even done like a crispy Deadpool face.
I mean, now they can do ones with staples all in his head.
Yep. Car salesman.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised too if like Disney did not want to do the Fox ones.
Makes sense. I mean, they did a couple of Fox figures, right? They've done
not since ownership's gone over though.
No, it was before that. They did the Professor X and Magneto 2-pack. did a couple Logans, did Mystique, Rebecca Romaine as Mystique, and they did the Logan 2-pack with like Old Man Wolverine and Xavier. So yeah, they have not gone deep into that Fox verse or whatever we want to call it. But yeah,
Although Blade, if you wanna be like granular, Blade is New Line.
Yeah.
Was
right.
New Line.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, I mean, there are so many. Not to mention, like, I would love a blind Al figure.
But
Oh,
since
yes.
all
With a bag of cocaine.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Cocaine. Do you want to build a snowman? I would love
Yes. But I mean, my dream wave from this movie would, in all honesty,
no
be
love
the
for a Yu-Gi-Oh figure.
oh, Yukio would be nice.
Would love to. Well, I mean, we have Negasonic, so would love
Mhm.
Yukio to go with her.
I always love that it's just hi Yu-Gi-Oh.
Hi, Yukio.
I wait. My dream would be the Wolverine montage.
Oh God.
Would just be every single one. The old man Logan, Patch, Age of Apocalypse, just every one from that. Cavalrine. Just give me every single one from that, especially the brown and yellow.
Shatterstar. You can get a Shatterstar in there.
Cavalry, and they wouldn't even have to do much other than just a head, because they already have the tank top and jeans.
I mean, you
body.
might have to bulk the body out a little bit. He's a little bit bulkier than Jackman, I think.
He's a little more jacked than Jackman.
Yes.
How about Vanessa? Get a Vanessa figure.
Beans.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of like core Deadpool characters that would make
Shatterstar.
Yeah, Shatterstar, Vanessa, Blind Al,
Peter,
Depinder,
Peter Pool. I mean, I still want like, if we're getting crazy and we're going real blue sky, I still would love a Depinder and a yellow cab. Like,
and a Deadpool to go with them.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Like, that would be.
I'm just happy we got Colossus, because that Colossus looks great.
It does, and it's got the two rules. So he's got the little X-Men handbook, and you can read the two rules. It says,
"Oh, that's great."
Don't kill anyone ever, and label everything in the refrigerator. You can actually read it on there, which is amazing.
That rules.
Like, they got the whatever DPI that they're printing with now. Like, they can do stuff like that. Like, even like on the front of the the little book, you can actually see like the Xavier School for gifted mutants. Like, you could like they can actually print that tiny now, which is bonkers. But in the meantime, while I wait for everything, I've just been rocking with my custom movie Wolverine. I threw the Hugh Jackman head on that new Astonishing X-Men body, and I just dunked him in some hot water and pulled the arms off, so that way I could get the shoulder pads off. So this has been permanently just kind of affixed to my desk.
Pretty perfect.
While I wait wait for the real one to come. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I love the movie figures, so this is just opens up the door for like so many more so much more heartbreak and waiting, but also potential for more figures. I would the biggest priority for me coming out of this, I'd have to say, just because who knows if we'll ever see him again as Gambit, but I would love a one-off, Channing Tatum. He was just perfect.
He was so, we charged a god. Not a single word.
He waited so long for this to happen, and finally got a chance to do it, and it's almost bittersweet, right? Because it's like, oh, what could have been? Like,
so my wife was like, he's gonna die first, isn't he? That was the first thing we kept thinking, was like, he's totally gonna die first, isn't he? He's just gonna get shot or killed.
Apparently they're all, if you remember from the end, the rumor is they all made it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So when Deadpool at the end credits, when
X-23's there.
So when he's back in the TVA for the end credits, apparently
Channing Tatum's on the screens.
Yeah, we'll have to wait until we can see it again, or you'll get it at home, because the cam footage is like really blurry, and I don't want to support that nonsense. But somebody said that you can see in one of the screens Gambit like returning home. So maybe it's not one and done for him. Maybe he'll be back.
He was so good, and the accent he threw on was just
It was a lot of this. It was perfect.
It was a lot of this. It was so good.
Yeah. It's just.
I think what was that line? I think I was born ready out of my dad's dick or something.
Yeah. But I that whole scene, I think overall, lots to be excited about. So lots of fun toys, lots of fun future, Marvel appearances from these two. I can't wait. I honestly, I hope some of the characters from like early MCU and like even like Guardians of the Galaxy, like I hope Chris Pratt comes back, because like just thinking of like Chris Pratt and Ryan Reynolds like as those two characters like playing off each other in a scene somewhere in Secret Wars, like it's just there's so many.
Well, they did say Star-Lord will return, so
yes, they did.
Yeah,
he's chilling with his grandpa.
So
his grandpa's pretty old, though. I mean, how long is he gonna be able to chill with his grandpa?
He's gonna make every second count, Joey.
Yeah,
every second count.
And you got Guardians 2.0. So
yep. But even like Deadpool and Rocket, like just
oh man,
like just
what a team up.
There's so many, and you said the big one before. Like I have been dying for Hugh Jackman and Mark Ruffalo, like Hulk and Wolverine. Like, oh my god, like this gives me hope that maybe we'll get to see that like just once, like for real.
Spider-Man and Deadpool team ups.
Tom Holland and Deadpool. I mean, come on, like.
Well, Tom Holland's brother was one of the.
He was one of the Deadpools.
And one last thing about that we talked about the Deadpool core, but that I didn't realize that was a single shot. That fight at the end with like through the bus, apparently that was legit a single shot. Like execution.
That's impressive.
With obviously with like CGI, but like added, right. But like the actual like them going into the bus and like through the bus and out real. The back, that was a single shot situation. So I'm just so excited to see this again. I want to talking about it for an hour makes me want to just like go back to the theater and watch it again. But also,
heck yes.
But also,
maybe get one of those popcorn buckets.
Yes, they're all sold out everywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah. Popcorn buckets, drink holders.
I can't defile Wolverine's head.
You can get
with popcorn.
An alien head one
with popcorn.
With popcorn. With popcorn. I saw somebody taking the Xenomorph alien one and inserting it into the Logan. It was. I didn't even know.
So the alien one's actually. I haven't seen it in person. I saw like a concept art of the alien Xenomorph popcorn bucket, but I didn't know it was actually a thing.
Oh yeah,
coming.
Yeah, you can.
Its thing is huge.
You can eat your popcorn out of an H.R. Geiger Xenomorph head. I don't know which is more disturbing, that or the Deadpool, or reaching into Wolverine's mouth.
Still Dune.
Dune, yeah, Dune takes it.
Yeah, but at least the Dune one's practical because it has that like rubber membrane, so you can turn it upside down and you don't spill your popcorn.
Yeah, you can turn it upside down, all right.
Oh my goodness! All right, I think with that, it was as good a place as any to wrap this up.
It's a good stopping point, I feel.
Dave, well, I'm so disturbed by the last thing that Joe said that I don't know where to go next. Joe, remind our listeners where can they find you on the interwebs? Where can they listen to you, and where can they book you for potential vocal goodness?
So all of that is going to be through Voices by Joe Instagram. That's where you're going to find me. I'm still working on my website again. I have to kind of mess around with that thing. But yeah, definitely Voices by Joe. You can also find me on Casting Call Club. I promise on my Instagram, though, you will not see me with a Dune fuck bucket.
That you got to pay extra for.
That's my OnlyFans.
Do you want to drop that link as well, Joe?
Yeah. Link in the description. You'll find it there.
Oh my God. All right. Well, guys, I think we exuded maximum effort this evening. In covering Deadpool and Wolverine. I think the only thing left for us to do is to send us home and send our audience home. Dave, send us home.
I'll let Joe do it because he's wanted to drop the line all week.
Let's fucking go.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azzari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes. Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.
America. We are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. By honoring your sacred vocation of education, you impact your family, your friends, and your community. At Grand Canyon University, our online bachelor's, master's, and doctoral education degree programs allow you to balance online coursework with observational and hands-on experience in the field. Find your purpose at GCU. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu.